Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is January the 12th, 1442 on the ancient moon calendar, 1443 on the ancient sun calendar, and 2023 on the Greco-Roman civil calendar. All rise and stand and remain standing into perpetuity. This is a sovereign, living, ancient, Article 3, Moorish American, Al-Moroccan, Universal Court Action. We are the sovereign, living justice in capitis diminution nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. I am sovereign, living justice, Pauline Denise Ritchie. My free chosen sovereign appellation is like Treasury Bay. Both are in capitis diminution nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. All Moors are the original indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American descendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites and Canaanites. Our full faith and trust, our allegiance, our credit, and our energy are pure by faith in ourselves. For we are the people who are the original indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient empire state from Morocco. We are the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government. We are Washington District 4, Columbia. We are the Universal Moorish American Consulate, the Article 3 Moorish American Consular Court, the United States Supreme Court, and the Article 3 Living United States District 4 Columbia Court. We are the sovereign fiduciaries, secured creditors, executors, trustees, ministers, possessors, and beneficiaries in this cause for action. We are peace. We are one nation, one state, one empire, and one God. We hereby exercise all sovereign rights at this time and at all points in time. Nunc pro tunc. Islam. Islam. Okay. In opening this preliminary hearing, we want to first acknowledge the heirs who are on day 23 of our 40-day national fast. We're fasting from all land animals to celebrate and to honor our return back to the land. This cause for action is being brought by the people. And this statement for original jurisdiction by this Article 3 United States Supreme Court is as follows. This is the preliminary hearing law to state Article 3 original jurisdiction in all matters that have to do with Moorish American nationals here on the land or any diversity issues and issues where there is a federal question. Supreme Court cause numbers are stated on the screen. The living interest that the state has and that the federal government has, Lamont Maurice Butler L. and George Edward Neal Bay. The date is today, Thursday, January 12th, 2023, Greek Roman civil calendar year. And I believe there is one other noble as well, Noble Samir King Ali as well, who is also a party to this case as well. This cause for action is United States, which is the original peoples, the original states united, and Maryland, the state, the land, versus Lisa Yates, Anthony Covington, and Troy Berry. So this case is being brought by the federal government and the state. All others involved previously doing business as agents assigned, principals, derivatives thereof, in connection with this cause for action. The diversity event began or took place November 13, 2022 on the Greek Roman civil calendar. And so what the state and the federal government is doing in this case is there will be sent the following 6 items. Cover affidavit, which we will present a United States Supreme Court quo warranto mandamus prohibitio writ, a certiorari command affidavit with supporting evidence, identification for parties, evidence from the public record, the Aaliyah habeas corpus and agreement to abide by court rulings, and all other documents. There will be some liens that some from the Supreme Court have presented that will also go with these documents at number 6. The commands will be handed down to the following constitutionally inferior court: Charles County Circuit Court, and we say constitutionally inferior because they have been liened by this government. All corporate covering has been removed. And so now we have a court that is subject to the heirs. Whereas before there were frauds acting in a corporate capacity, and those dead entities have no place on our land. And so at this point, the subjects listed here, Lisa Yates, will receive the documentation. All sovereign, original, indigenous, ancient, divine, Moorish, American, Al-Moroccan autographs affirming this cause are on the public record at America, which is Al-Morocc, or Morocco, ancient Morocco, Mexim, North America, Northwest Africa. And this Supreme Court jurisdiction is affirmed in Article 3, Section 2 of the Great Ancient Original Constitution for the United States, and further affirmed by federal law, as written by this ancient Congressional Court. This Supreme Court's original jurisdiction applies to all causes, to include causes between states, actions involving public officials, causes between this sovereign United States and a state, and causes by a state between the nationals and the subjects in another state. Additionally, as codified in federal law at 28 United States Code subsection 1251A, this Supreme Court has original jurisdiction over all causes to include the following 4 causes, meaning parties involved in these types of causes shall take them directly to this Supreme Court, superseding the appeals court process. Article 3, Section 2 states, for all causes affecting ambassadors, all other public ministers and consuls, and those in which a state shall be party, the ancient original Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction at all times and at all points in time, non-pro-tum. For all other causes, the Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction at its will and may invoke original jurisdiction at any time in all matters, both as to law and fact, without exception, and in alignment with stated regulations as this Congress shall create. Under this Supreme Court's 1803 Marbury versus Madison ruling, no court nor any other shall alter the scope of this court's ancient original jurisdiction non-pro-tum. Notice to agent is notice to principal. Notice to principal is notice to agent. And this is also notice to all subjects and former custodians. Islam. So we want to go over the documentation that will be presented, and we won't look at each and every lien because there were many, and we want to thank all of the Moors who created liens in the interest, in the state's interest, and in the government's interest in this particular cause for action, and all of the other documentation that has been sent, all of the support for this cause for action, because at the beginning and end of the day, the people have spoken. And when the people speak, all governments, all states, all nations listen. Islam. So the cover affidavit that will be sent, and we're putting this on the public record for a number of reasons. One of those reasons being our statement of these documents on the public record automatically place them in the files of every court, quote unquote court, and every inferior, constitutionally inferior court. And so the information is listed that we just spoke into the record with regard to the cases and the causes brought by the people. So this is the cover sheet that will go. It does have the consular seal, the government seal, and the Supreme Court seal. Additionally, there will also be a quo warranto, and it is written in ancient English. These documents are written in ancient English because according to international law, and this is not something we made up, it's international law, all states and nations must have a language that is separate from commercial or common English that they use and speak, and that all in their nation overstand and understand. So when we write things using the French and Latin and Spanish and Asiatic spellings and the ancient Roman spellings and the ancient Arabic spellings, it is because our ancient English comprises all languages. Just like all people come from us, all languages come from ancient English as well. So when our prophet said that you should speak Spanish, we do. This ancient original Article 3 United States Supreme Court quo warranto statement and command does hereby affirm that this court is the original jurisdiction for the above stated cause for action and is authorized by the people to exercise and execute justice accordingly. This mandamus does affirm that no other shall proceed, and when we say no other, we're not talking about Moors. Moors who want to do other actions with regard to their causes of action are free to do that. We don't tell sovereigns what to do, and so our court, our state, our nation, sovereigns are allowed to do as they will. All stated living interests are hereby returned to the state according to the attached Aaliyah, habeas corpus, and any other further actions by any other is prohibited. And again, when we say any other, we're talking about any foreign or subject Islam. When a court or when a state or nation speaks on the public record, first, they must speak by way of their court. That's number one. And number two, in order for their court to speak, the court must be inner written, and some say underwritten. Their court must be inner written and underwritten financially. And so, in order for acknowledgement to be given with regard to documentation from a Supreme Court, especially an original indigenous Supreme Court, because there is no other, your court must be underwritten financially, and it cannot be with the same money or fiat as the court that you're, as whoever it is that you're speaking to. Okay, so we honor that Moors are sending documentation and doing things with regard to our brothers and sisters, and in the interest of the government and nations. Those documents must be underwritten by a national currency because all courts are underwritten by national currency. Okay, and so because all judges are bankers, and that is a very basic it's a rule, but it's a law for us. And so, you know, we honor those who've been sending documentation. The documentation will be acknowledged when it is underwritten, coming from your court and underwritten with real money. It has to be underwritten with real money. We do have the national money system in place, and it's always been in place. There is a way to access it according to the Constitution, where appropriations is mentioned in Article 1 of the Constitution. In order to access the Treasury, it must be properly appropriated, and we have done that process and gone through that process. And so, you know, that process is a process that is brought by the people as well. And this sovereign congressional court has gone step by step through that process. And no, we did not need anyone's permission to do that. That is something that all nations must do. Islam. So, and I will say this too, Morris, you know, Morris has been sending some very competent documents, but those documents, the response is not necessarily there in some cases, in many cases, because for that very reason, your courts must be underwritten and underwritten by real money. And so that's one. Make sure this is on the screen. Okay. So on the screen is the certiorari. Any United States Supreme Court must have a process in place by which causes come to that court or are handed down from the court. And this Supreme Court can move to issue its own certiorari, or the certiorari can come from any mores with regard to the causes for action. And then it's up to the Supreme Court to decide, you know, yes, this case has merit, let's go ahead and handle this case, or otherwise. And, you know, so with regard to the certiorari, we did go ahead and put the court action language on the document in smaller font. And this Article 3, United States Supreme Court does hereby grant the people the intended certiorari. And certiorari, it is a noun. It is a Latin word, and it also in Latin it is spelled certus, meaning certain or assuredly. And this process is the process that properly states what the surety is for the action, so that mores are not held as surety for anything that's going on. That's the purpose of certiorari. In the certiorari, you state what the surety is. And again, surety is in every case. There's going to be some surety. We have to make sure that the surety is not the mores. How does that happen? That happens by us making sure that our money system is in place and that we present the bond. Because the bond, and it doesn't matter whether subjects say there's no bond in this case, that doesn't matter because they don't get to make that call. We make the call. Okay? And in order for a bond to be issued, it must be in lawful money. Okay? So just one moment. Let me make sure I'm not. There's one. Are you all able to see the document on the screen? Just one moment. Okay, Islam. Just one moment. Okay, can you see the cover on the screen? No, okay. The preview is showing that it's there, but okay. This one. Just one moment. I'm sure that you can see it. Okay, good. All right. So this is the cover affidavit, and it just lists what's going to be accompanying the document. There are 6 items here. The certiorari is number 3. So the cover affidavit that you're seeing now is number 1. The second document that will be presented will be this quo warranto mandamus prohibitio divine writ as well. And this document states what quo warrantos and mandamus and prohibitio documents state. It states this ancient original Article 3 United States Supreme Court quo warranto statement and command does hereby affirm that this court is the original jurisdiction for the above stated cause for action and is authorized by the people to exercise and execute justice accordingly. This mandamus does affirm that no other shall proceed. And again, we're talking about foreigners proceeding and or subjects proceeding. We're not talking about Moors. Moors can do as they will. All stated living interests are hereby returned to this state according to the attached Aaliyah habeas corpus, and any further actions by any others is prohibited. Okay. Thank you for those keeping us informed of what is on the screen and what you can see. Thank you. Okay. And then the third document is the certiorari that we just showed. That the certiorari has been granted. And we will say this also about the certiorari. When the people command that something be done about a case, the state and the government proceed with that case. Okay, so the people get to determine. It can't be just me. It can't be any one other. It can't even be a party to the case who says, no, state or government, you can't proceed in your interest. Because the interest of any court case has to do with the people's interest. And if the people see something on the land, then they're supposed to speak and say, let's do something about this. Okay? We don't have, any vigilantes that do things all by themselves. We all do it together. And so when the state and the federal decide that a case is to be pursued, then that case is to be pursued or presented. So then the next document is going to be the Aaliyah habeas corpus, and there are a couple of documents that go with this Aaliyah habeas corpus. And for those who are not familiar with Aaliyah and what that means, just let me get that on the screen. Okay, there it is. For those who are not familiar with Aaliyah habeas corpus documentation, Aaliyah means that those who are of the bloodline and birthright, it's an ancient law. And those who are of the bloodline and birthright, if it should be presumed that they left the land, Aaliyah brings them back to the land permanently. And that is something that has been being acted out by the actors whenever they, a crime is committed by the actors. And we're not saying that a crime was committed by anyone in this case. We're just pointing to where the precept has been acted out. Or if they're wanted for something, they can actually, a lot of them will fake their death, or they'll pretend to go missing, and they'll go to the fake state of Israel. And when they go there, that's like a quote-unquote sanctuary city for them. And they stay there, and as long as they don't leave there, they won't be arrested, molested, etc. Well, for us, Aaliyah is back onto the land, okay? And our recognition of that, because again, we never left the land. We're just recognizing, because there was a time when we did not know what we know now. And so Aaliyah habeas corpus is that. And we've used it before, and it works so well that we just, it is a precept that we use. This Aaliyah habeas corpus has the court action language to begin with, and then it says, as prophesied in the Holy Bibliotheca by the Holy Sibyls in Ezra and Nehemiah, the return to Zion, and we put that in Hebrew and Arabic here. All of these, and Roman as well, it means Zion's returning. Isaiah 11 and 12. It says God will lift up a banner. Well, we know that we are God. And so, and when I say we, I mean all wars. God will show the nations that he is gathering the people of Israel. And when we say he, we mean she as well. God brings back those who have been taken away as prisoners. God gathers together the scattered people of Judah. God brings them back from all four corners of the earth. Empire State of Morocco, interest number 1, and this is in all capital letters, and that's why we say interest, Lamont Maurice Butler L, and interest number 2, George Edward Neal Bay, and we will explain why we use the term interest. Again, because all courts are a financial exchange. However, mores cannot be held as surety. So the all caps living natural person is the minor who is that the bond is written on. Okay, and our bonds are underwritten by gold United States dollars, and this is real United States dollars, not that fake stuff, and Swiss francs, as well as Moorish sovereign dollar if we have something going on in our own nation. The state does hereby invoke Aaliyah habeas corpus for the parties of interest, thereby returning the said living parties back to the custody of this sovereign state. Allegiance has been verified and is hereby placed on the public record into perpetuity. In alignment with said return, the following are part and parcel of this lawful and legal written cause. This court action is notification to the custodial subject that the state does claim sole interest and issues this sovereign command that all interest is part and parcel for the state custodians shall perform the act accordingly. Corporate interest is notwithstanding. So that takes care of any dead United States court pretending to claim any interest. All state entitlements are granted in accordance with Article 1 of this court action and in alignment with the original ancient Constitution for the United States, 1789 and 1791. All other state resources that are available for the growth, erudition, and well-being for the said interest is hereby made available. This sovereign state court has original jurisdiction in all federal and diversity matters at all times, not pro tunc. And then we talk about the autographs being on the public record by the Moors. And those autographs that are on the public record simply state that the Moors have jurisdiction on the land, and that the taking of Moors is not an option. This one. And then the documents, these documents have been handed to the sheriff's office. And again, what we are showing here, anyone can do these documents as long as you know that the state and the government is speaking, and it's not just any one individual. So whenever, for example, whenever I do any documentation, any demonstrations, I never ever go alone. I bring the power and the authority of our state and our government with us, and our courts with us. So we are never alone. Okay, and at international law, that is where recognition comes from. Documents are recognized when state and federal jurisdiction is properly and competently invoked. And for those who are sending affidavits as individuals, I would encourage you to study the Montevideo Act of 1933, which is actually the 1933 Montevideo Law, where the proclamation of statehood is concerned, because statehood needs to be declared properly. And that way, subjects obey, and everything is what it should be. Because this is an international law event, and only states and nations and governments are recognized internationally. We do have several videos, but one in particular where we went down the list of things that we did in order to properly proclaim and declare our statehood. And that those things include a national language, those things include your own economic independence. We have that, and we're going to show you some examples of that once we're done with this preliminary hearing, and we are just about done with it. We just want to show you a couple of more documents that will be going with this court action. So all Moors are, as properly stated, and I say properly stated because if you try and state this and you're not, and you're trying to state it from their perspective, from the perspective of the previous foreign occupiers, it will not work. It will work when you know that we have always been the national government, always, always, always. So any Moors could have done this and can do it at any time. These icons here, these logos, have been properly stated by us. We did reconstruct them and put them, we're placing them on the public record now. We know that I and all Moors are the national sheriffs at all territories. All Moors are the national sheriffs. There was a pretend supposed corporate sheriff, quote unquote, and we know that doesn't exist. There's only one sheriff, and that's the Moors. Okay? And had this been on a Moorish affidavit, and we've done this in the past, then we would spell it S-H-A-R-I-F-F. So again, we go to the ancient spellings when we're using our national documents, such as our ancient documents, such as anything on Moorish government letterhead. We use our ancient spelling most of the time. Anything that is the national government speaking, then we use Common English, which we also call Ancient English as well, because we do alter some of the spellings. And when we say alter, that is a spiritual term. Okay. This is a release extradition authorization bond. It is a United States Treasury bond. Aaliyah habeas corpus creditor's warrant. Okay. In unity with the attached Article 3 United States Supreme Court Judicial Certiorari grant ruling and original jurisdiction statement ruling, the following nationals are hereby immediately extradited to the state and court having original jurisdiction. Attainees are hereby released on their own recognizance and or national self-custodianship with instructions to report to the United States Supreme Court within 30 days for further instruction. Attainee number 1, and again, it's in all capital letters, Lamont Maurice Butler, L, in blue ink. United States Supreme Court cause, number listed here. Federal bond amount is 1 million Swiss francs and or 1 million gold United States dollars. Attainee number 2, George Edward Neal Bay, United States Supreme Court cause listed there. Federal bond amount 1 million Swiss francs or 1 million gold United States dollars, or any combination of those two. This affidavit works as both United States Treasury bond and United States bond authorization, and is hereby executed by the National Sheriff's Office. So, and then here are the form numbers down at the bottom if you want to take a look at those for this particular form. And the numbers, the districts, etc., for the execution of this document, which we're executing it non-pro-tunc. Again, the bond process underwrites the money process, and the money and the bonds underwrite the courts, and the courts underwrite the commerce. So that is why we had to have our own money system. Okay, and so again, for those Moors that are sending documentation and doing things, we honor your work. We must elevate the precepts so that we get the expected result, the lawful result, and the legal result as well. Islam. And with that being stated, we will put the liens that have been sent. I want to thank Justice Morpheus Freeman, L, for the liens that he sent. He's at Maryland Territory as well. And also Empress Rosetta, who has sent liens as well. And any other Moors, if I have not called your appellation, it is my fault. I take responsibility for that. If you've sent liens and things with regard to this particular action. And again, as we stated previously, we're not doing any of this by ourselves. The state and the federal government are speaking. And so, you know, we cannot stop the state and the federal from moving forward with their cause. And this is our work. We work for the state and the federal, which is the people. And so, because the Moors have spoken, we're going to move forward with the causes for action. Because, again, we have a monetary interest in the cause as well. Okay? And why do we put bonds forth? We put the bonds forth, number one, because we know that only lawful government can even address the bond. And number two, we put bonds forth because, again, the Moors that are involved in this issue, they're the creditors. So these are creditor bonds. And again, they must be properly underwritten, in order to even be acknowledged. Okay, and so we have done that. Are we saying that we're perfect? The processes are improving significantly. And so, we're just continuing to look at how do states and governments demonstrate who they are. This is how it's done. And so we continue moving forward this way. So are there any, this preliminary hearing, are there any questions from any of the, just one moment, let me open the court for any wisdom, comments, questions regarding the processes for international law and nations and states and governments with regard to this clause for action. Just one moment, and I will open the table. Many times we move a lot quicker than the technology does, so but we're okay with that. Okay. Okay. So are there any questions or comments or wisdom or any suggestions even from this court regarding the preliminary hearing?
Islam, Empress.
Islam.
You gave a good relationship statement about underwriting bonds and the money and the court. Could you just restate that so I can write it down properly? I
Sure.
appreciate it.
Sure. So the relationship between the courts and effectively getting things done is this. All commercial actions must be underwritten by either money or bonds. And so in order for a bond to be effective, or in order for money to be effective, and we're talking real money, we know that the fiat system, they enacted as if it was real money, but it wasn't. But we can look at what they did and say, okay, we know they're debtors, we're creditors, so let's create creditor bonds. In order for any nation, state, government, in order for the money to be effective and in order for them to pull from the Treasury, they have to have their own money system. The money system is underwritten by the bond process. The bond process it bonds all of the documentation to the land. And because we present all of the documentation, and when I say we, I mean all Moors, because we present the documentation, that documentation is automatically tied to the land when we do it as the state and the government. And it's tied to the land anyway, we just have to bring the precepts together. So the bond process underwrites the money. The money underwrites the courts and the law, because all law is commerce. And so, in order for our state to continue doing the things that we're doing, to include some things we're going to show you today that you might find relatively interesting, the money, in order to pull from the Treasury, you must have a bond program. So let me explain that bond program a little, just pointing to what we've been seeing when we were in our sleep. I often used to wonder why it is that the previous quote-unquote United States were the only ones that could issue fiat earth-wide and everyone has to honor it, in the sleep. And we're talking about corpses and acting. It's because on this land here, this is the only place at earth that a bond program, a federal bond program, can be implemented. And when I say federal, I'm talking universal bonding. All other inferior bond processes and programs started here, and that's where the money starts. And so that's why all the corporations came here and had to sign up over here in order to do business anywhere else on earth. You have to have a bonding process in place. And in order for your bonding process to, it's almost it is a very symbiotic relationship between the money and the bonds. In order for the money to be good, a bond process must underwrite. And in order for you to underwrite your bond process, you must have your own currency. And then your courts speak in the language that is a national language that's accepted. One of the previous issues that we had as a state, as a nation, as the government, is that we needed to know that it was our acceptance of anything that's going on the land that made it so that anyone could do any commerce or have any courts or do anything on the land, is that we had to accept what they were doing. So, in our sleep, we enacted accepting fiat. And so that got all of that other stuff going. Fake courts and all of this corporate fake courts, dead stuff. And so we looked at that, how they acted, and we said, okay, let's do this and this and this. This is the path we need to take in order to get our courts going. We have to have our own, the courts must be underwritten by bonds. Any paper coming from the court has to be underwritten. And so when you look at words like bond and warrant and anything like that, notes, bills, whatever, from the dead perspective, from over there in the previous enactment of being dead, those were debt instruments. Over here, they're credit instruments. So these bonds that have been issued with regard to the all caps for the two brothers, those two bonds are credit instruments. So they underwrite our court actions that this preliminary hearing is underwritten by the bond process and by the money. Okay, and all nations, that process must be done. All nations must do that. So
well, Lamont is still in jail.
And then we have to put it on, the record, which is what we're doing right now. Okay, it must be put on the public record, and we're going to put several other things on the public record today too that the ancestors have shown us that I can't thank them enough for the information that they give us, because our ancestors, they know everything. So all we have to do is clear our energy, clear our spirit, and do it. Just do it. Follow the ancestral energy. And again, we honor the work that's being done by all the Moors. Every Moor. I want to give a special, send some special love to those that are at Justice Maurice's at his consulate there. We honor their work and we honor all that they're doing. We love them very much, and what we're doing is also to assist as well. We know that there are some precepts that needed to be put in place, and so we felt led to do that, and it wasn't even a matter of feeling led to do it. It is absolutely an obligation. We're obligated to put the proper protocols and processes on the public record. Obligated. That's not something where we can say, oh, well, I guess I won't do that. The ancestors are not trying to do that. So, here we are. With that being stated,
Islam. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I sent you the case number from the Enforce the Constitution website along with the writs that they filed. It's different from what's on the bond.
Okay. If you look on the here and here are the right ones. Those are on there. They're on the website as well. But these are the ones that you're probably referring to.
Oh, okay. The D40.
Yeah.
Okay.
We looked through the documentation. We looked through everything that was on the public record in order to competently state. And Empress, I thank you so much for pointing that out. Let's see, because and that is, again, that is why we do what we do, so that there are more than just one set of eyes on the paperwork in case there's. So let me go to the bond and add them. Thank you, Empress.
You're welcome.
Let me just see if this is the one. Okay, this is there's also a general bond that will be going just to state the underwriting for our own court. This is the United States Treasury indemnis facier. Just one moment, let me put it on the screen so you can see it. Okay. This gold United States Treasury indemnis facier creditors bond is certified as a true Treasury credit underwriting this United States Supreme Court in the sum certain amount for 100 million gold United States dollars per cause per participant. Per cause per participant. Okay. So our court is properly indemnified. That's another international protocol and process that must be in place. And so, again, we honor all that everyone has done. Yes, we have a thank you, Rosetta. We honor all that the Moors have done. We know there's still some things that we're filling in. We're filling in where it's necessary in looking at the international law process and the Supreme Court processes. Islam Empress.
I'm not seeing the document that you're talking about unless it's not there. Am I the only one not seeing it, or?
Can you all see the document?
Islam, sister. I can see it.
Yeah, they can see.
I can't see it.
I'm seeing the one with Lamont Maurice Butler L. The federal bond amount for $1 million.
Oh, really?
I thought you
okay.
just said $100 million. So I'm.
Yes, the one for 100 million. That one that's the one that's on the screen now. And it seems that everyone can. Can you see it?
No, I'm still seeing the previous one.
I see the one she.
I can't see it either.
That is. Can you see it, Nobility? The one that says 100 million.
It's the ancestors telling you that none of this shit works. It's the ancestors telling you that none of this is ever going to work. The ancestors are speaking you and telling you that none of this is going to work. Everybody's laughing at you, Pauline. Everybody's laughing at you because everybody knows that this shit's not going to work. It's not going to work, girlfriend, and thanks for the energy, peace and love, because that's still not going to help Maurice get out of jail.
Okay. So just one moment. Let's get some order in the court. Okay. Now, let's see what's on the screen. Just one moment. And share. We do love all the energy because we're just going to use it to keep doing what we do. It's sometimes it can be, it takes a little bit of energy to hold back saying some of the things that we really want to say about what, you know, but you know what, our ancestors got us. We're going to keep, you know, doing what we do in terms of guarding our mouth gate. That's a good way to put it. So with that being stated, just a moment. Okay, I see that. Just a moment. Let me. Okay, Empress Shasha, can you see?
I can now see the 100 million gold.
Yes, that's the one that should be on the screen. The 100 million should be on the screen.
Thank you.
Okay. So you're seeing what we're all seeing as well. Thank you, Empress, for pointing that out. With that being stated, let me see. Let me find the. With that being stated, and I will make sure to add Empress and the other two case numbers, or cause numbers rather, because those are our cause numbers, Supreme Court cause numbers, onto this bond. It's on all the other documentation. It just didn't make it onto that bond. The bond was the last thing that I did right before the preliminary hearing. With that being stated, this preliminary hearing stands as law. So we will conclude the preliminary hearing and move on now to any questions, comments, wisdom, because I have one other something. Yes, Islam.
I want to just put on the record, I affirm.
Islam. Thank you, Empress. Where two or three. Islam.
Noble Timothy Hassan Bay, Virginia Territory. I affirm too. Also, I would like to know, would you put those documents on under the video? Because I'm not at my computer to see anything.
Yes, I will put them under the video, but they won't. They may not get under there until tomorrow.
Okay, whatever. That's good. It's necessary. Please, particularly on this end. Thank you, sis.
You're welcome. Anything to help, anything to assist, Islam.
Islam, Council, UK Territory. I affirm.
Thank you, nobility. Islam.
Islam. I just wanted to say that the updated Maryland Constitution was sent to the custodians in District of Columbia as well.
Yes, Islam. Listen, so many more are working on all of this that you know, the state and the government will not be stopped. We will not be stopped. It's too many of us that have interest in all that's going on. It's too many of us, and we're all right here together. So, you know.
We have to get them out. This is going to set a precedent. They're not going to continue to violate us, and we're not going to get together and do something about it.
The unity is the key. The strength is in our numbers.
Islam. Is there any way you can send some Delario to me?
Yes, I can do that.
I can give you my email.
If you don't mind, thank you.
I don't mind it at all. It's G as in Jen, E as in egg, N as in nest, T as in Tom, M as in man, A as in Allah, S as in soul, T as in 2, E as in egg, R as in Ray, and the number 6 at yahoo.com. Gentmaster6yahoo.com.
Okay, we will get Delarian to Islam.
Thank you. Islam.
You're welcome.
Or you can use the 1-800 Delarium is toilet paper.
Delarium was actually one of the main, kind of like, I guess you could say, a nail in the coffin in terms of underwriting courts and doing the things that needed to be done. So I want to move on to, if there's nothing further, we do have many witnesses as well. If there's nothing further, I'd like to move on to the next demonstration that we're doing because I'm excited about it, and I know that over time we've been looking to see these other types of demonstrations as well.
Islam, quick question.
Yes.
When is the next hearing for the, because that was the preliminary we just did, is there going to be another one scheduled for the actual?
There's not another one at this point. There's not another one because once jurisdiction is stated, which we have done, then we send the documentation and then. Now, I will say this about that, and the ancestors, they never have you demonstrate without showing you the next steps and things. And I hesitate to even say this on the public record.
Oh well.
But I'm going to say it anyways because I know that casting and breaking spells is part of it. But in the past, when foreigners would do something, and I'm not saying they're guilty of anything, but whenever a foreigner would come here and get in trouble, they would have a consul fly from wherever within 3 days and show up with some documentation and some paperwork and get whoever it is out and fly them back, and they would tell them, okay, you're accused of whatever, but you once you leave here, you can't come back here, or else we're going to prosecute you for that. Well, Aaliyah is the same way, where you don't go back over to a presumed, because this presumed is not even real, a presumed corporate fiction fake court. You have to stay in your proper status at all times in order for the Aaliyah to remain active, because it's by your sovereign will and word that we get to determine what jurisdiction we're at. So sure.
I don't know if this is even possible, but I've been doing my research and studying, and what I looked at concerning our brother Lamont Maurice L. Is there a way that we can provide suit towards those who caused him injury? Because there were 3 parties involved, right?
So which question is it that you're referring to? Which question is it? Is there a way to bring?
In regards to the hearing for
yes.
For the imprisonment.
So the answer to your question is yes. The answer to the question is yes, we can bring suit. There are some things that we will have to point out prior to doing so. But this preliminary hearing is the first step. Courts must hold a preliminary hearing in order to speak in terms of people being, POW camps, jails, prisons. And that's not something that one does alone. We don't have to do anything alone. There's many of us here, all we have to do is keep doing what we're doing, which is come together, period. Just keep coming together, keep speaking, and then move forward. So the documentation will go out tomorrow, and it will also go under the video tomorrow as well. And then we'll go from there. I would say be patient with the process as we go through these protocols and these international laws and steps that we take and precepts and things. Let's be patient. Let's keep ego out of it completely, please. And when I say please, I didn't mean that to you all. I'm just saying that energy that energy is not with us. We're going to cast all the right spells. So with that being stated, I wanted to show you another something about reconstructing documents and things that the ancestors showed me through a series of, videos and information that came to us, and they kept pointing things out. Back in even as late as the 70s and 60s, 70s, 50s, there were some who were pretending to do national duties, and I'm not sure if it was Moors doing this or if it was the corpses, but I'm just going to have to assume it was the corpses. I don't know. But I know when this process that we're about to discuss first happened, when I first heard about it, I'm sure it had to be Moors doing it. It had to be Moors doing it. So back in the 50s and 60s and 70s, and some of this I remember. I wasn't born in no 50s and 60s. I mean 50s and, I was born later. But I remember in the 70s where the government used to issue something called trading stamps. Trading stamps. And these trading stamps were the predecessor to both coupons and food stamps. Food stamps is actually the inverse or the opposite of trading stamps. Trading stamps and even food stamps were supposed to come out of the Treasury because, again, general welfare clause of the Constitution. But when the corpses started hypothecating and subrogating these processes and then prosecuting people for even using the process, they changed the name of the process. So we looked at the trading and exchange stamp process, and I even know why they call it a stamp, because there was a stamp on it that anyone, whenever they saw this stamp, they would know that this is coming from the Treasury, so just give them whatever it is. Okay? And so I came across some old video where persons were discussing this process. And Moors, there is absolutely nothing on this landmass that we cannot have. So let me show you, I went ahead and took the liberty, and that may not even be the right word, it's actually an obligation or a duty, to create one of the first trading and exchange stamps. The national government always had a program that ran side by side, supposedly, with the acting corporate corpses. The national government always had a process, and they mirrored each other, except those who had the national documentation would not have to use fiat to get what they wanted. And so let me show you the trading stamp that we put together for you so that you can know how this process works. So we did a trading stamp. Just one moment, let me put this on the screen. We did a trading stamp for a national promotion. This national promotion, we used to do national promotions all the time. And this national promotion is a Red Lobster national promotion. And what it is Red Lobster, in accordance with, and again, all of these companies, this is what's going to spur the economy. Okay? All of these companies are bankrupt. We know that. But they're continuing to operate because until something else is put in its place, it's called occupy until they come. Okay? That's biblical, by the way. So this national promotion is a promotion. It's ordered by the Supreme Court. It is. It has the national banner for amity and commerce on it up here at the top. And anytime you see this banner on anything, that means that there's a certain amount, if not all, that whoever is holding that, they don't have to pay. It's free. It's paid from the Treasury. So it's really not free, it's paid by the Treasury. And so bus fare is a great example of that. And we have looked at this and we've seen it, we've demonstrated it many times, that anytime we see that is the national banner for amity and commerce. And that's why the stars are first. And so whenever you see that, whoever it is not supposed to be pulling any fiat out to pay for anything. And so we used to do national programs all the time. Every chance we got, we were doing a national program for whatever it was. We used to do them for our holy days. And so what we did in looking at the national trading stamp programs previously, and they were previously done by and this is where I saw the video, quote unquote, the National Association of Food Chain. The National Association of the Food Chain. So what we did was we reactivated the National Food Chain Association, which is all of us, and we said, okay, we're going to implement one at a time. As we demonstrate this, we're going to put the national programs out there. Again, this Congress can vote on this program. I wanted to show it to you because I already know that this is actually what everyone is expecting us to do. This program is to all Red Lobster offices, restaurants, and custodians. And again, Morris, I just picked one. I don't have any affinity one way or another except that we're doing a no land animals fast. And so I said, okay, well, I'll just start here. But we could have done this with any place. Because that debt, there's a mirror, and there's some credit that needs to be spent. Okay? And that is the expectation. It says to honor all who have worked together to ensure that our nation continues to thrive, grow, and unify economically and otherwise. Red Lobster National Promotion does hereby issue this National Food Chain Association trading stamp coupon for 1 free meal per day per coupon holder as stated below. This is Ultimate Endless Shrimp Monday, and they are accustomed to seeing these promotions. They put them on all the time and currently have them going on, but from the other perspective, from the debtor perspective. So we're doing it from the creditor perspective. Enjoy free Ultimate Endless Shrimp Mondays, mix and match, etc. And it says a $21.99 value free. Soda and tea are included, and a 33% tip is included in redemption value. So when they talk about redemption, this is what they're talking about, is we must redeem. We got to redeem the time. We got to redeem the credit. We have to redeem everything because there's a whole bunch of debt that needs to be there. There's a mirror reconciliation process that has to happen. Everyone knows this. And that's why everything had to come to a halt. And when it starts back up again, it starts back up in the favor of the Moors. This is how. And we actually are, it is our duty to do this. And so I just picked a couple of these. And again, when these when you take these out onto the land and do what you do in terms of getting whatever it is that you're going to be eating, you don't need any fiat whatsoever. You don't pay. The tip is, the redemption value is in there already for the tips, and they actually get more tip than they would if someone was paying fiat. And then what the merchants do is they take these, and however many they get, they take them and they can actually deposit them in the bank. And they need to total up what the tip is, 33% of the meal, and then deposit it in the bank, and they are not taxed. Okay? So we actually have to implement this earthwide. Now, let me tell you that this has already started. The use of the Treasury has already started. One of the empresses gave me there was a testament that came in, and one of the empresses gave me, and I've heard this actually many times already in the last few days, people saying, oh my goodness, they paid the debt is not there anymore. Well, one of the empresses sent me something where her debt, she received a letter. And again, the National Treasury is fully operational. We must know that those national programs and processes, we have to implement them and put them on the public record. And when we put them on the public record, everyone complies. Okay? Because they're actually going they're guaranteed to get economically, they can be solvent now. Okay? But here on the screen is a letter that one of the empresses received January 1st, 2023. And I'm going to hazard a guess that was probably it was a large, it says total debt abolished, and they had an amount there, and I'm trying to think, did she tell me what the amount was? But it says here on the document, and this is how we know that it has everything to do with us activating this National Treasury. It says, Dear, we are sending this letter to share the good news that on behalf of a national donor, you no longer owe the above referenced medical debts because our national 501c3 nonprofit RIP medical debt, which I think is just so a crazy name for a medical place, is RIP. Wow, they could have thought of something else. But anyway, it says because our national 501c3 nonprofit medical debt, and that's the name of it, bought and abolished the debt. The funds for this act of debt abolishment were generously provided by anonymous donors and coordinated by RIP Medical Debt. You can learn more at this place. Our abolishment of this medical debt is a no strings attached gift. You no longer have any obligation to pay this debt to anyone at any future time because it has been canceled as a gift. And remember, we did that. Back in 2018, we canceled all debt. We have the video is out there. It says you do not earn any income or owe any taxes on this cancellation of debt. So like when a debt is paid, sometimes they'll say that's counted as income and it has to be taxed. In this case, again, not taxed has been invoked on everything that we're doing. Okay? So when you're talking about the national debt and that national debt, we have to offset everything. We have to offset everything. And the best way to do that is to begin to use the not the services, but the works. It's the national government that's working here. And that's another reason why, we can't just have one person say, hey, why don't you stop doing what you're doing? This is a national movement. Okay? It's a national movement. We do this together. And so one of us doesn't stop, all of us. We keep going. We all keep going. So with that being stated, this is not even the only one. I want to thank the Empress, and she knows who she is, who I didn't ask her if I could state her appellation, but if she wants to state her appellation and discuss what happened, she's welcome to do that. She's generally on these calls. With that being stated, the national government needed to stand and begin ministering the Treasury properly. Okay, and so the ancestors are saying, just be, don't waste, but make sure that everyone is taken care of. And I'll say this even about that, heirs. This is being done. This is the same thing in the Bibliothek when the children of Israel were leaving Egypt. They were allowed to take everything with them that they could carry, as much gold and silver and all that they could carry. So what's happening now is that we've escaped. We freed ourselves, and we are preparing now, and this is why all of this stuff is coming forth now. We're preparing now to do commerce on our own. So we're going to, as we're opening our businesses and doing things lawfully, and not using fiat to do it and all of that, that is what all of this is all about, is to make sure that as this transition happens, everyone can eat, everyone can do what they need to do. And each week, we will be introducing a new national program. We're going to be doing national programs with the grocery stores as well. We wanted to start first with something that everyone could go now if they need something, because Moors need to eat. They need to do, not need, Moors desire to eat. They desire to enjoy the land. This is how that happens. So each week we'll be implementing a new national program by way of our court, and that's what this is. So are there any questions or comments regarding this process? And if not, we can go ahead and vote the process. Just the national program, we already voted it in, really just by us being here, but all in agreement with the national programs going forth each week, and we just go. It will be a good idea to have a national ID as you go through with regard to these programs that we're all implementing together. And down at the bottom of the document, I didn't get to that part. Let me get to that part. And those who are at the other lands, let us know what, places are there, what national programs you want to implement, because you'll be implementing them too at your territory. Islam?
Well, I was about to address to implement this process at a land.
Yes.
You will be hearing from this land.
Yes. You can use this same everything that we're using. You can use it, because again, everything started here, but they all know when they see this national flag come through, they know what it means.
So, you say, hey, I was even saying yesterday, but we have a BT Telecom over here. Didn't stop as BT. It took it right back down to Cable and Wireless, and Cable and Wireless started in America, right? If I'm correct about that.
I couldn't. You were going in and out. I could not. I didn't catch all that you stated. Could you state it again, Nobility?
What I was stating is, I was explaining something similar yesterday to someone, as in a different company started over here, BT. I was explaining to them it didn't start here as BT. It started in America as Cable and Wireless, and it's all spread everything from Ford cars to so on and so on. So everything, as you were saying earlier, everybody had to have a bond starting there so they could do commerce on the rest of the land.
Yes.
Islam.
Yes. Islam indeed.
If I may, Angel Bay, that putting the paperwork, because listening to you earlier, because I do so much paperwork, it's a lot, and I sometimes don't remember what I've done. But you jog my memory about paperwork stating that on the land and doing the maps and such, and putting the territory, whether it's New Jersey, New York, Washington, and just putting that
the constitutions and all of that.
Yes, and stating that is the land, right?
Yes.
And I remember I had did that, and I'm just like, no wonder, because everybody knows, or knew at least, that New York was one of many, corporate states that was hard. It was a blue state, so it was so difficult for the challenges that the corporate fiction was doing with their tests and such.
Mm-hmm.
But those who know they're square and they stand on it competently, they overcome anything. So, but tying everything back to the land is the key, and putting that paperwork on the record, for the record, and let the record reflect, is so imperative and paramount in stating that your state is in and on and for the land.
Yes.
And putting that there competently, and putting that map.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
The maps and the constitutions.
Yes.
And the charters.
That part. It is so important, because then we carry over to all the other adjoining lands, and it spreads. And so it works, because I'm a witness, and the other Moors at New York are a witness that remedy is real.
Yes,
you have to put the paperwork on the public record, and putting the liens, putting it on the land, you will get remedy. There's nothing else to state than it's on the public record. The record speaks. And they look at that. They know this. And the congressional meetings that we're doing now, they work, because time and time again, Empress Light and we come on these calls Thursdays and Sundays, and days later, we see the remedy of even the George Washington. We said that he is a copper-colored man. I looked from my own two eyes and re-Googled it. You see him being reflected on their website,
Yes.
We didn't do nothing with that website. It's there. He's copper colored, people.
Yes.
These meetings, what we do here works. We get our remedies. I've known people who left New York because they said New York is a hard state to deal with. Let me tell you, New York is a lot easier because these four brethrens, they are a witness. The paperwork reflects it. They did it, and they are testifying that they didn't have to spend a day behind the POW camp line.
Yeah.
Question.
Islam.
When you
Islam.
Do you
can you speak up just a little louder, Nobility?
Okay, can you hear me now? My phone sucks. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
I was just saying about recording on a public record. Do you go to the county clerk's office? Islam.
So what we do to record on the public record is we mail it to whoever, because see, you're the county clerk, just so that you're aware. You're the national county clerk. And then you send that to the subjects that were, previously doing this. You just mail it to them. You don't send any fee out or anything. It's just notification. And then with regard to any other public record like social media and things like that, we usually put it on social media, put it on YouTube so that the public can see it.
Islam. To add Telegram and Calameo are two other platforms that I, as a people, use myself. Yeah. I use Calameo and Telegram, and they work.
Yeah. Islam. So that's a form of publishing, right?
It is absolutely, yes. Yeah. And
so
when you
understanding,
go ahead, Empress. No, go ahead.
If I'm understanding, what I'm gathering is that we are the carbon copy, and then we reflect it onto the land. So basically, we handle everything here, and then we make a second copy, so that it is also reflected for the subjects to identify with. So it's like a mirror effect. Am I correct?
Kind of, sort of, except we're never a copy. We're always the original.
No, I'm saying we're the original.
Uh-huh.
Then we make a copy for the subject to understand what is going on the land.
Yes, because the Savior always writes scriptum, writes out. It is written, it is written, it is written. Yeah. Yes, absolutely right, Empress. Absolutely correct. Yes. I was going to show you all. I saw a video. And I'm starting to see it a lot more often now. You see how they have something about. They have the banner. The other way, talking about taking the culture back. That is how
we don't see that yet.
You don't see it? Oh,
no, not yet.
Just one moment. Let me put it on the screen. This is how, and I'm only showing you this so that you know how the subjects who were previously doing business as the Masonic Order, this is how they send out their message to one another. Here, let me pull that again so that you can see. In fact, I think what I'll do is just put it on the paper. Just so you can see what they do in terms of how they let each other know where we are in the processes that we're doing. Just one moment. Let me put it up here. This is how they let each other know they will do something on social media or whatever, and they'll say, okay, this is where they are. They've taken their culture back, but they make it seem like it's something where they're talking to each other. And you see the banner there? They're doing the banner for Amity and Commerce and talking about culture. That is how the 33rd degree ones, the 33rd degree ones, tell each other where we are in our process. You see that? And they turn and they'll do the banner the way that now you're seeing it that the national way. Okay? Because that's just how they watch what we do and they say, okay, they're at this point now, so you can pretty much expect the national programs to start rolling out pretty soon. So they get themselves ready. And that's why I said we don't have to worry about the subjects. They already know what to do. They know what to do. They know what to expect. And we just go ahead and move forward. So, and I don't want to keep that up there that long because, let me move it back to this. There. And so now let me say this about the national government, because we've always been the national government. The national government has the creditor side that helps everybody. The creditor side is a mirror of that debt side. So on the creditor side, you can have a 501c3 and get the benefits and things like that. You just can't do it on the debtor side, or you're going to be paying, it's going to be a mess, a hot mess, really. So you have to reconstruct the 501c3 process from start to finish. And if you had a 501c3 previously, you need to lien that one and then reconstruct it over here on the creditor side. That's what the national government does, so that the people who come to your 501c3 can get the benefits that they are due. This is to help everybody on the land. So if your 501c3 feeds people, let's say it's Meals on Wheels or something like that, then just redo it over, lien that other one, do it by court action, terminate all corporate contracts with the dead United States Corporation Company, and then reconstruct it with the living. And when you reconstruct it, then you can reconstruct benefit programs. Any benefit program out there where people were being fed, where homeless people were being housed, and all of that, we are supposed to do all of that. We're supposed to do all of that. And then there's commerce. We're supposed to do commerce, but it has to be reconstructed. Any business that was out there before, such as Red Lobster or Nike or any of these other businesses, we can take that and lien the other one, and everything's been lien, but we want to be specific. And many more have lien Red Lobster. We've seen them on the liens on the public record, so we know that is done. And then we implement national programs, okay? And national programs make it so that we have to offset this whole debt thing. It's got to. That's what this is all about. We have to. Even where conveyances and domiciles and all of that is concerned, we have to do that. Now, the ancestors are saying that we have to be wise with what we do. We have to not waste, and then make sure that everyone can access it. Everyone. It doesn't matter their nationality or anything like that. They will know that it's coming from the Moors, because we've always been the national government. So whenever they see something like what the Empress has on the screen, what the Empress received, where, you know, all debt is forgiven, they're going to make sure that they say national donors and national this and national that. And many are having their, now that they've been able to access the Treasury because we had to activate it, okay? And we all did that by voting on these calls and by unifying and coming together and doing what we're doing and leaning that corporate debtor state, quote unquote, because it wasn't really a state. It was just it was a mental disturbance. No, I won't say that. I'll call it something else. It was just some corpses acting out. So with that being stated, are there any other questions or comments about how to proceed to get what you desire on your land?
Islam Empress. I'm looking at this document saying, what? Long Island City, that's just down the street, across the bridge from where I am at New York, first of all.
Yep.
Second of all, I'm looking at the word gift, like you mentioned that earlier. I have never, in my 30-plus years being on this planet, ever seen a document have that word gift on it. Come on now, let's keep it 100.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Come on now.
Yes.
And so that right there is proof, if you never needed to be asked if you needed it, that the proof right there is really, come on now.
And the word national is in all lowercase letters. National donors in all lowercase letters because, you know, it is what it is.
But you mentioned RIP medical debt because it is resting in the debt state that all medical debt is now credit and to the true creditors, that part.
Yeah.
So that's why they had to name it Rest in Peace. Medical debt.
I even heard one of the subjects, she was expressing gratitude to God because a charity paid her. She owed something like $50,000 on a hospital bill, and out of nowhere, a national charity paid her the bill.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I saw that, the answer, you know, I saw it and I said, okay, I know where that came from. And the ancestor said, don't worry, it's happening everywhere.
Yeah,
everything is already done. Everything is already done. And now all we have to do is pick and choose what we want on the land and then use it. But again, this is not to be squandered. It is actually to get our businesses going and things like that. So as we introduce these national programs, we're going to be introducing national programs for everything, places like Home Depot, Office Depot, different places like that. You know, grocery stores, restaurants, supply places,
everything.
And get what we need to get our businesses, our commerce going.
Yes, and you had mentioned these words as reading, the abolished and obligation. And we have, as the Congress on these calls, we have gone over those two words. When one pertaining to the abortion, remember?
Yeah.
And we abolished corporate abortion as far as death on paper.
Yeah.
We did that.
Yes.
And we went over the obligation that they are obligated to us.
Yes.
We did that.
And all we're really doing is accepting for value what's there.
Exactly. Islam, that part. And so, this people, if you ever needed a seeing to know, the Prophet said, man know not by being told. Well, this is a seeing right here.
There it is. So, you know, I just want to thank you all for just deciding that we were going to come together and do this. That to me, now don't get me started because y'all know I will start crying about y'all. I'm just, I'm just glad that we're coming together and continuing to come together. We still have a lot of work to do because so many people need help. We need to help each other. And so, everything on the land already belongs to us. We just have to properly implement it. And we needed to implement, not needed, we desired to implement it on a large scale instead of just as a bunch of individuals. We needed to state up, be the state, be the government. Well, look at international law and see what it takes for that to happen. See what it takes for the Supreme Court to speak and it be honored. See what it takes. Do the research, do the study on the processes, and then come together and do them. So with that being stated, I don't have anything further at this point. Thank you all for us just deciding to come together. Let's keep doing what Islam Empress.
Besides the documents, did she send any other documentation to achieve that result?
Nope.
Islam.
She just put her nationality on the public record and did the basic, documents, and that was it. But see, you got to remember, when the state speaks, it's going to affect everybody. That's why these reports are going to be coming and coming and coming and coming and coming about debt being abolished everywhere. And more is going out and being able to get whatever it is that they need so that they don't have to sleep under bridges and beg for food.
And with that stated, Islam Angelica Yvette Bay at New York Territory, I affirm this program for going forward. Islam.
Islam Empress, this is A.G. Nazarene today. I'm for working in the territory of Texas. If I want to start dispersing like services through a 508, which is not a 501c3, and I want to assist other people in helping do that and train them, how do we connect? Make sure that we're connecting everything or sending information to, I guess, Washington State, to you.
So the only thing that you need to do, Empress, is look at the process that was done in, the corporate process that was done previously. Don't do that one. Just look at it step by step and then recreate it step by step. And when you reconstruct and reform that process, then you send it to all the places that it says on there to send it, but you put, for example, when the address, just make sure the state is written all the way out. You don't have to, and all of that. And then, you put a zip code for them for wherever you send it. So just reconstruct the processes. That's how you do it. Reconstruct the processes. Now, this is going to be important, too, as we proceed, because that other thing over there is not doing so. That other system's done. So the national system is, we got to move quickly because everything over on that other side is finished. And the ancestors told me, too, that no matter how good things get, they can always get better. They said things are going to get really good. They said don't get comfortable there because it gets even better. So, yeah, so any processes, 508, 501c3, whatever it is, it must be a national program in order for it to work. It cannot be under the dead United States Corporation Company. It can't be because they're broke, and they told everybody they were broke, and we've known they were bankrupt since 1933 because the acting is on the public record.
Islam.
Yes, Islam. So with that being stated, I have nothing further for this honorable court. So peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs, Islam.
Islam, peace and grand rising.
Grand rising. Moors. Peace and love.
Grand rising.
Islam.
This is those Zyra Thornton Ale. Islam.
Peace and love.
Mississippi Territory. Islam, Empress Light. This is Minnie Price Day, Mississippi Territory. Islam, we love you.
Empress Minnie, hi. How you doing, Empress?
I'm doing awesome.
I miss you.
I know. I'm here. I'll be here. I'm here.
Islam, beautiful.
Yes, I have some stuff I want to send you sometime to stay with as well.
Okay, beautiful. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Right, so I'll send you some things in the email.
Okay, and Empress, if you have WhatsApp, the phone number is still the same on WhatsApp.
Okay, all right, I got you.
Okay. All right,
see you next week.
Okay, Islam, Empress. I can barely hear you. Can you speak up just a little bit?
This is Elzira Thornton L. from Khalifa. I confirm.
Islam, thank you. Islam. Yes, let's do this. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
We're so glad to hear from you.
I've been trying to get in contact with you guys. I didn't know how.
Uh-huh. Do you have this is how to do it. This is how you get in contact with us. This is it right here.
All right. Islam, peace and love, Empress.
Peace and love, and thank you for being here.
Yes, it's a pleasure to get to speak with you.
Islam.
Online.
Yes, Islam. Finally, after all this time, Islam.
Yes. Islam, peace and love.
Peace and love.
And Islam, it's Wine and Prince at Canaan Land, and I affirm.
Islam, thank you, Empress Wyman. Yay! Let's do this.
Those you have a good night.
It's awesome to hear from Canaan Land. The Canaan Land, Moors, Islam in the house. Love it.
Islam,
Islam.
How are you?
All is well. Islam.
I am C. Tiana Bay. I had been texting you on Messenger. I was wondering if you could text me on Messenger all the templates for the liens and affidavits and Word docs, because when I receive them in PDF, I can't edit them.
You can't? Is there any way that you can reconstruct the document?
Probably so, but I'm on a cell phone. My computer has broken.
Okay.
I can't use the template when I
okay.
The letterhead.
Okay. Let me see. I'll have Empress Ravana to forward as many of the documents to you as possible. But see, the thing about what's your and I did see you on social media, Empress. If you could, did you inbox me your email address?
My dad did. If it's YaqubElHamid@gmail.com, then that's him.
Okay, I got it. He's been posting a whole lot of stuff to the timeline lately. He's been real active. That's awesome.
Right.
Yes, Islam. Thank you, nobility. And you know what? He has the documents, I'm pretty sure. As much paperwork, he's been putting in so much work over there. It's just a lot.
Islam, I appreciate you. Islam, we do appreciate you over here, and we got love for you, and we thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you, nobility. What territory are you at?
We are in Republic of South Carolina.
Oh, yes, Islam.
Islam.
Thank you so much, nobility, and I appreciate the demonstrations that you all are doing there as well. Every piece of paper helps. Every affidavit.
Thank you. I am trying to get the format down to the point I'm unable to edit on PDF, but I'm able to edit Word doc. If I try to get the by transforming from one format to another, I won't be able to use your letterhead or your template head, which I want to be in conformity with the consulate.
Okay. Well, I'll try and get those to you, or have Empress Ravonna to send to attach as many of the documents as possible to. Thank
you so much.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. With that being said, much love, peace, and grand rising.
As well, peace, Islam.